You're listening to iCannabisRadio.com.
Hi, welcome. It is Monday, September 30th, and you're listening to iCannabis Radio. My name is Georgia. I feel like this has been, it has been a weird month, but I feel like for my show, this has been weird. I never skip shows, and I had understandably 2 shows that were missed this month, and that's the first time that's happened outside of like holidays in the whole time I've been doing this. And tonight I'm struggling because I was just at the Capitol where they are having a candlelight vigil in honor of Jenny Kush to bring attention to the horrors and perils of driving under the influence of alcohol and anything for that matter. Jenny's parents and her 4 kids are in town, and which is fantastic and wonderful. Meeting them is amazing. It's horribly unfortunate to meet wonderful people in circumstances that are so heart-wrenching. And these kids they all look like little blonde Jennies, little tow-headed, adorable, beautiful children. They're all clearly very intelligent and super social, and kids that you can imagine that Jenny would be just incredibly proud of. And so it was lovely to meet them. But if you are listening to the show in Denver and you have the opportunity to go down to the Capitol and listen to this show pre-recorded, please do so. They'll be down there till probably 9-ish tonight, and have people speaking. They have a PA system set up. The idea really is to bring attention to, as I said, drunk driving, and Jenny's passing has gotten a lot of press all over the world, quite literally all over the world, and it's not surprising. It's a pretty big deal, but part of what can be the benefit that can be gleaned from all of this is again, I feel like back when sort of Mothers Against Drunk Drivers started years ago, there was a big push, and people really were a lot more thoughtful about drunk driving. And we've talked about in shows since Jenny's death that it feels like younger folks, people who were just 21, maybe a little bit older, they kind of have it figured out. They're used to not driving under the influence. They are very accustomed to taking cabs everywhere, especially people that live in a metropolitan area. They have they run party buses and go to Red Rocks in a party bus, which means you don't have to worry about parking and you don't have to worry about drinking and all that kind of stuff. But it begs the question that how did this 27-year-old who hit and killed Jenny, allegedly, I guess you're supposed to say, how did she not get that message? Where was the disconnect for her, or for the hundreds of people who get arrested in Colorado and around the country every month for driving under the influence? I think we're more sensitive to it in Colorado, and especially in the cannabis community, because the driving under the influence of drugs in relation to the 5 nanogram per blood, whatever count for cannabis has been such a hot topic for 3 legislative sessions in a row. And so I think we definitely have been feeling like that's at the forefront of our thoughts and minds and brains, but it's sorry, I have a dog that's now fully turned around behind me. But it's one of those things that has just brought us, we such focus on what does impaired mean for driving under the influence of cannabis for a regular chronic user versus a varied user or occasional user, and then to be hit so hard with a drunk driving death in our cannabis family, that it's changed our focus, and we're back to reminding people that when you drink, just like when you do some other drugs, but we're going to talk about alcohol, when you drink, you lose eye-hand coordination pretty quickly. You lose spatial relation pretty quickly. You are unable to function in a way that makes it safe to wield a 2-ton weapon, essentially. So go down to the Capitol steps and join in this vigil so that we can remind people again that this is a very, very preventable issue. People don't have to have their lives altered forever because of drunk driving, either the person driving the vehicle or the people who are in their wake. Those things don't have to happen. And so it was nice to be down there. I went down to the Capitol on Saturday also, and old-fashioned protest on the Capitol steps. Although it was really, really mellow. It's kind of a nice sunny Saturday, little brisk, little fall air, and people just kind of hung out and just enjoyed being together, which was really nice. I think that when a tragedy occurs, people take kind of two roads, and one road is that they get bitter and angry, and they detach from everybody and everything because they're so angry. The other road is that people join together and that they appreciate one another and that they try to spend more time together because they've recognized that life is precious and short, and you never know what's going to happen, and life is very unpredictable. And I think that's really the road that most folks are taking. I think that that Jeremy, and of course Jeremy and Jenny did Sexpot Radio together, and they were also a couple for several years. He's definitely taken the road that leads towards being appreciative of what you have and recognizing that time is short and time is precious, and wasting time being bitter, angry, any of those kinds of things is just kind of hurting yourself. So that's I think where he is, and I appreciate that in him so very much. Last week on Tuesday, if you missed it, was the Sexpot Radio finale, and dozens and dozens of people showed up, both in person and in the chat room. We got calls from all over the country. People, it was wonderful. It was like the good old days around here when people showed up for a big party every week. And it went till what time, Chris? It went till 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock. And which was great. So there were people who spoke, and there were so many people who wanted to speak that there's going to be a part 2 tomorrow night. And in all honesty, I mean, I think that for Jeremy, it is really healing. It's really wonderful to have people talk about and listen to and share memories of his life partner. For Jenny's parents and kids and siblings, it's wonderful for them to hear how important Jenny was to a whole lot of people. So yeah, part 2 tomorrow. I know that some people who were not in town last week are going to be here tomorrow, and I think Jenny's family is going to come, if I'm correct, which will be fun. They can see where the magic happens here at Sexpot Radio in iCannabis Radio Studios. So that's pretty exciting. I really liked the atmosphere last week. I thought it was pretty amazing. Lots of tears, but lots of laughter, people really enjoying themselves, everything that Jenny would have wanted. And that was great. I know that there was at least one person who pretty much cried happy and sad tears from the time we went on the air until the time that we went off the air, huh, Chris? Yeah. But it was good. I mean that kind of stuff is really cathartic, and it's beautiful what people have to say. I mean, I just loved listening to everyone. I wasn't really prepared. I hadn't prepared to say anything. I didn't know what I was going to say, and I'm listening to people, and I thought, wow, Jenny is bringing out these eloquent words, and these people who are absolutely, the words that are coming out of their mouths are like music, and what a wonderful gift to give to her family, and what a wonderful gift to give to her kids. So if you can participate tomorrow, we're going to start at 6 o'clock again, right? 6 o'clock. I don't even know how long it's going to go, but probably until we're done. And you can come down to the studios at 2130 South Bel Air in Denver. It's pretty much the corner of Evans and Colorado Boulevard. And you're more than welcome to come to the studio and say a few words on the air. If you feel better just calling in, you can do that too. The number is on the top of the screen. I'll tell you, when you call in, if we're already on the phone with somebody, it will go to a voicemail. So if you get a voicemail, just keep trying. We can only take one call at a time, and we can't put you on hold. I know this is 2013, and we have the most archaic. I think my mom's rotary phone is like more technologically advanced than our system, but nonetheless, that's what we have to work with. But definitely, please come down. Donations can be made to the fundraiser for Jenny's kids. It's just wonderful. But big difference between last week and this week. This week, costume party. Heck yeah! What are you gonna dress up as, Chris?
I don't know yet.
You got to dress up as something.
I will, but I don't know yet.
Yeah, you got to dress. I mean, Jenny loved Halloween, and I wish I had a picture. I think it's been up on some of the sites of Jenny's costume from the Hemp Connoisseur Championship Cup last year. Do you remember that? The big hair and the big purple. She just looked freaking hilarious and amazing and beautiful. She would dress up every day in October if she could, which she did because she could. And I was talking to someone that I work with, Diana, and Diana said, I love Halloween, and I would celebrate it every day if I could. And I'm like, why can't we? Why can't we dress up every day? Why not? Who says we can't? I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'll be Catwoman tomorrow. Yeah, never know. Anyway, I'll think about that on our break. We are going to take a quick one. I'm Georgia. You're listening to iCannabis Radio, and we'll be back in just a couple minutes.
Are you a runner? Are you a runner who supports marijuana legalization? Run on Grass is a group of athletes actively seeking to change our marijuana laws. We speak the truth about cannabis, bringing the message through our feet to new ears. Check out runongrass.com to find out more about us, our events, and how to join up or how to sponsor a runner. If you're in the Denver area, please join us for runs or start a group in your area. Running not your thing? Any sport can do it on grass. Runongrass.com. Let's face it, rules and regulations are complicated, especially in the field of medical marijuana. Let Medical Marijuana 101 help you get through the compliance process. We can also explain to you your employment requirements, your employees, and your business. But our work doesn't stop there. Our experience in cultivation ranges from the design of grow rooms to the diagnosis and resolution of grow problems. Visit us at www.medicalmarijuana101.com or call 303-388-7706. That's 303-388-7706.
The National Cannabis Industry Association would like to thank its members who represent the leading professional businesses in America's emerging legal cannabis market. NCIA is the only organization that has unified legitimate cannabis business across the nation to fight for real reform in Washington, D.C. For more information or to make your business a member, visit us online at thecannabisindustry.org.
Hi, welcome back. Sorry, I'm stretching out my entire back. Anyway, I have this friend, my friend Jen. I'm so proud of my friend Jen. She decided out of the blue, not out of the blue, but like, I don't know, 8 months ago, 10 months ago maybe, that she was going to run a marathon. She's run on a treadmill, and that's kind of been her thing. But she said, I'm going to do this. I'm going to set this goal for myself, and I'm going to run this marathon. So she's running Chicago. So not just any marathon, not just like, whatever, but one of the most elite marathons in the country. So she had her last long training run on Saturday. And so she was going to be done running a 20-mile, which she ran the week before. But a mutual friend said, no, you really need to run 23. Because if you run 23, you can walk or crawl the last 3 miles if you need to. So she was like, do I really need to run 23? That kind of sounds awful. And I'm like, well, truth be told, you're going to feel a lot better running 26.2 if you've run 23. So she did it. So she ran 13, and I ran the last 10 with her on Saturday. And 10 miles, like this, I know this is going to sound obnoxious, but 10 miles is kind of my favorite distance. I like that. I don't really have to prep much for it. I don't have to eat a special meal. I can just do it. But man, maybe I'm getting old, but my back is like achy from it. I don't know. Anyway, but that's not what you're listening to my show. It could be if you want to know about my aches and pains. I could do a whole hour long. Then I could tell you about all the different medicated balms that I use for different things. In fact, Apothecana extra strength cream is what I was using last night. And that was pretty good, but definitely not as good as my Dixie Salvation Solve, which is just fantastic. So anyway, as I said earlier before the break, definitely head down to the Capitol Steps and listen to Sexpot tomorrow night for what's really going to be the finale, part 2. And then maybe tomorrow night or maybe next week, we have an announcement, a big announcement for what's going to be an upcoming change in this show. But I'm not going to announce it tonight, I don't think. I think I'm going to wait and announce it either tomorrow night or next week. It'll be announced. That's what I think. What do you think, Chris?
Next week.
Next week? I think that's a good idea. So, I haven't really. It's felt a little bit trite to talk about celebrity marijuana stuff with all that's going on. And so I did my research for the show today, and I was like, thank goodness there's really no shocking celebrity news, because there's some other things that I really want to talk about. And one of the things that is happening in Colorado right now is this influx of parents who are moving to Colorado with their kids to put them on a CBD regimen. Dr. Alan Shackelford is getting calls from all over the world parents who are trying desperately to find treatment regimens for their children and want to try cannabis. And so, unfortunately, people can't get here fast enough, and that's great. There aren't a ton of places in Colorado yet that provide CBD rich strains. There's a handful of places, and the other thing that's kind of happening is that parents are finding themselves having their kids taken away either for their own cannabis use or for making some choices about cannabis as a treatment regimen for their kids. There have been a handful of cases where Child Protective Services has been involved because of the parents' choice themselves. And you guys know me. I mean, I am a sucker for any kid story. Chris and I were just talking. I'd rather oftentimes hang out with people's kids than with the people themselves. And it's astounding to me that parents who are amazing parents and who make what I would consider really good decisions on all of their parenting and their medicinal choices and their recreational choices, but somehow someone gets to take their kids from them because of those decisions. It's ludicrous to me. It's heart-wrenching to me. And we talked a couple months ago about the little girl in Texas who was unfortunately put in foster care because of her parents' choice to smoke marijuana. And while this little girl was in foster care, the foster care parents literally killed her. She dropped her on the head, knocked her on the head, whatever, and the little girl died. And so that somehow is a safer environment, according to protective services, than the family home. And I find that stunning. I find that absolutely stunning. So I really think that we need to speak out as much as possible, and we need to ask our government to do research, because we all watched the Sanjay Gupta CNN report, and his mind was radically changed as he watched little Charlotte and Chaz Moore, their lives become transformed because of cannabis. And he became a believer. He denounced all of the negative things that he had said in the past, and now he is a believer. And so we need to ensure that research is done. We need to ensure that our governments decide that they're going to put an end to this madness, that parents who want to make good decisions for their kids have a whole lot of choices in their medical treatment, including non-prescription, non-Western medicine, non-something produced in a laboratory in some closed environment somewhere. The use of a plant. I mean, it feels so simple. It feels so simple to me, and it's the reason why all of these people are moving here, because they're so anxious to try this, because other treatment modalities have been unsuccessful, or the side effects have been so dramatic that they would much rather not have them on the medication at all, because the side effects are worse than the symptoms that they're trying to treat. And that's not the case for cannabis. And I know I'm preaching to the choir, but I just feel like it's time to to really stand up and request that our governments and our elected officials do something different. And part of this is, Colorado right now is having this battle, this whole marijuana industry people, and I speak for the industry and I work in the industry and that makes me special and all these kinds of things. And I'm a lobbyist for the industry and therefore I have the ear of this legislator or that legislator. And you know what? You know who has the ear of the legislators? Parents, voters, patients. As soon as you allow the industry to speak for you, it's no longer about you. It's about them. And the bottom line is the industry wants to do what's best for the industry. I'm hard-pressed to find an industry representative that will say, absolutely, my interests are in line with that of the patient 100% of the time, because it's not the case. It's not true. I mean, look at what's happening with the taxes. Industry personnel are right behind voting yes on Proposition AA, which will allow for pretty steep taxes for recreational pot sales, recreational marijuana sales, and that's not good for you, the consumer. How can it be? It's good for them. It's good for them. They can stay in business. They can tell the federal government, yep, we definitely are going to have enough money to be able to support the enforcement of the laws that the state and the municipalities have put forth. But that doesn't help the consumer. And so what legislators hear and what they hold on to is people's stories. Have you ever listened to the State of the Union address given by the president or the State of the State address given by the governor? Invariably, every single one of those speeches, the president will say, well, I was in Hacky Sack, Tennessee, and I spoke to a tire worker, and he told me about this story with his family. I mean, it's those little stories that mean a lot to our elected officials. And so you need to tell these stories. If you are a parent and your medication regime for your sick child includes cannabis, or you want your medication regime for your sick child to include cannabis, you need to tell your elected officials that. I think I've told you guys before, my dad has written his legislators in Illinois before Illinois passed dozens of times about how I use cannabis and the unique fashion, the unique to him fashion that I use, in which I use cannabis, and to help them understand that it's not just about smoking, that there's lots of people who smoke cannabis and then use it in a whole bunch of different ways. And I just happen to only use it topically. And so when you give your legislators those stories, they can then share them with their constituents. When they have a constituent that says, oh, all those patients in Colorado are just, they're just faking it so they can buy weed legally. Your legislators can say, wow, here's patients that I actually talk to. Here's parents that I actually talk to. Here are sick people that have shown me how this plant helped them. But for whatever reason, we're still afraid. We're still afraid to stand up and to talk about our cannabis use. And certainly I understand why parents are afraid to talk about it, because they're absolutely petrified of what's going to happen with their kids or what potentially could happen. And unfortunately now in the news, we're seeing that does really indeed happen. And we've got to stop this. I mean, I feel like for all the progress we've made, if people who have families can't use this plant medicine because they're afraid that the pizza guy is going to call the cops on them, it's a pretty big problem, and we need to rectify it. And the way to do that is numbers. The more people that talk about their cannabis use and aren't afraid, the better. All right, well, it's time for us to take a break. I'm going to go on another rant when we come back. I'm Georgia, and you're listening to iCannabis Radio.
Are you a medical marijuana patient or interested in finding out how to become one? Contact Mile High Wellness, where your care is our concern. Conveniently located on Hamden and Tamarack in the Whole Foods parking lot behind Proof of the Pudding. Mile High Wellness offers a wide variety of edibles, hashes, and some of Colorado's top strains. Mile High Wellness, where your care is our concern. 3525 South Tamarack, Suite 110, on the corner of Hamden and Tamarack. 720-382-8516. Mile High Wellness, where your care is our concern.
The Law Office of Edson, Mayton, and Matz provides criminal defense, family law, medical marijuana defense, and advice about setting up and running a medical marijuana center, optional premises cultivation operation, and infused product manufacturing businesses throughout the state of Colorado. We're focused on providing high-quality service and customer satisfaction. We will do everything we can to meet your expectations. WarrenEdson.com. Edson, Mayton, and Matz in Denver, 303-831-8188, and in Aspen, 970-948-7183. WarrenEdson.com.
Hi, you're listening to my mom, Georgia Edson, on iCannabisRadio.com.
Hi, welcome back. So I said I wasn't really going to talk much about celebrity stuff, and that's true. But I have a couple of interesting things. You know, I kind of have to laugh. So MPP, the Marijuana Policy Project, put out a list of 50 influential marijuana users. And, those things always make me laugh. I think they're fun and I think they're interesting. But when you read about the marijuana users, more often than not, it says something like, yeah, when I was in college, I smoked some marijuana and yeah, I kind of grew out of it and I don't really do that anymore. Rarely do you find someone who was like, yep, I've smoked in college and I smoke now and I'll smoke tomorrow. And oftentimes it's almost the person apologizing for smoking marijuana. And yeah, someone just wrote in the chat room that Miley is probably one. I hope Miley Cyrus is not considered influential, but you know what? She probably is. Hannah Montana, definitely influential. Miley Cyrus, I don't know. I kind of liked her when she was a little kid. Nonetheless, I always kind of get annoyed about the way in which people describe their cannabis use. There are a few celebrities that we know of, that we all talk about, we've all heard about, that feel pretty confident in describing their cannabis use. But this list was pretty interesting. Anyway, it says a combination of quotes indicating that nearly every famous person you've heard of, from entertainers to politicians, have tried pot at one point in their lives. The list is not that surprising. On the one hand, it proves that many politicians who have blocked marijuana reform actually smoked it sometime in their youth, and there are plenty of artists who are more open about their frequent use. But this list isn't as effective as it seems. And I'm going to stop because, I think it is really true that when you remember the Bill Clinton quotes, I didn't inhale or whatever. I mean, come on now. Right. That's why not just say you did what you did? If it was underage drinking, they would say, yeah, when I was 17, I got into my parents' liquor cabinet. You wouldn't say I put it to my lips, but I didn't actually swallow. So I don't know why there's this need to say, oh, I didn't inhale, or I just did it that one time, or my favorite, I didn't really like it. That was my favorite. Yes, you did. Yes, you did like it. You did. Mason Tvert, Director of Communications for MPP, gave some insight into the list's goals in a statement. The goal here is to dispel the myth that marijuana users are losers who lack motivation and highlight the fact that they are typically productive and oftentimes quite successful. As this list demonstrates, many of our nation's most successful citizens have used marijuana. The list certainly includes many motivational people. There are 3 presidents, several actors, writers, and musicians. Taking inspiration from OUT's annual list of powerful members of the LGBT community, the list's creators explained how they determined the list of influencers. In order to have qualified for the list, each individual must, 1, have tried marijuana at least once, 2, be alive, 3, be living in the U.S. or be a U.S. citizen. To create the list, they adopted criteria used by Out Magazine to select their Power 50. This means that their choices are based on power to influence cultural and social attitudes, political clout, individual wealth, and a person's media profile, not just the popularity or support for marijuana policy reform. Fortunately, many of them have expressed support, but there are some bad guys out there too. The bad guys, quote unquote, include a few surprising names. Sarah Palin and Clarence Thomas, for example, and a few that are not so shocking. President Barack Obama, George W. Bush, and Bill Clinton have all publicly and famously admitted to experimentation. And while there are a few cases of famous folks who enthusiastically express their appreciation for weed, Jon Stewart, for one, is quoted as saying, "Do you know how many movies I wrote when I was high?" Most of the quotes on the list, those that are actually directed from celebrities themselves, and not, as in the case of Ted Turner and George Clooney, casual mentions of pot smoking from an acquaintance, are pretty sheepish and self-deprecating admissions of guilt. And that's what I'm talking about. It's like, why do you have to apologize? Why not just be okay with the fact that you tried it? Because one, you're a human being, and as a human being, there's this thing, and it's called peer pressure, and it's really, really strong, and you hear all these things about smoking marijuana, and your friends are doing it, and guess what? Most people have tried it. That's not surprising. And so don't say sorry. Don't say sorry. Say I did it and move on. If you chose not to ever smoke again, okay, fine. But the idea of saying I was wrong and this was bad, I mean, that just makes me not like you, to be honest with you. So all you celebrities who do that, I'm over you. I won't see your movies. Even you, George Clooney. Oprah Winfrey says she last smoked pot in 1982. The year that Chris was born was the year that she smoked it one time. Sarah Palin claims she never inhaled again. Never inhaled. How is that even possible? Like, I don't get how that's possible. You keep it in your mouth? Is that... I mean, I guess you could fake it, but why bother? If you're not going to inhale, why not just say no thank you? Because whoever you took that joint from, they're a little bit bummed that you wasted it, especially back in whenever it was that Sarah, it's probably harder to come by than it is now. Tom Brokaw, who I have to say, I have had a crush on Tom Brokaw since I was like 15. I mean, really. Love Tom Brokaw. So Tom Brokaw experimented and walked away. So he smoked and bolted, I guess. Angelina Jolie hates the way it makes her feel silly and giggly. I know, that's pretty awful. What a terrible feeling, silly and giggly. Oh my gosh. Michael Phelps, despite being photographed smoking weed, vehemently denied using it and then apologized. I mean, that's another one. Again, apologizing. Oh, goodness. And then Justin Bieber apologized for it as well. And all the people are used as examples to dispel the myth that pot's okay. I mean, I don't think that this list is helpful. I don't think a list of people who are saying I shouldn't have done this is helpful in any way, shape, or form. What's helpful is I did this, and look at me. It didn't wreck my life. I didn't lower my IQ. It didn't make me less successful. All of those kinds of things. I mean, let's talk. Let's talk, and let's talk for real. While the intentions of the list are clear, pretty much everyone has smoked pot and it's fine, it ends up proving that there's still much stigma attached to marijuana use, evidenced in the particularly apologetic tone most of these influential marijuana users adopt when admitting they've smoked it once or twice. One would think that highlighting hypocrites and embarrassed pot smokers would be counterproductive for a marijuana policy reform movement that's trying to make the case that it's nothing one should really be ashamed of. And I so agree with that. It just... I mean, come on, folks. Just go ahead and admit it, and don't apologize for it. And you're not gonna. Brad Pitt is not gonna lose fans because of his marijuana use. And here's what he said: Brad Pitt admitted to Parade that he preferred smoking weed, grass. He called it grass. Does anyone call it grass?
Old people.
How old?
How old is he?
My age? Easy there, buddy. During his tender years in Hollywood, he said he got bored of it and it was turning him into a donut. I mean, that's not a positive reflection. Rihanna, what do you think Rihanna had to say?
She loves it.
Rihanna was photographed earlier in 2013 smoking something that looked a lot like marijuana. Kush rolled glass full, I prefer the better thing, she tweeted a day before. That's my girl. I mean, she, like Rihanna or not, she's not apologizing for who she is at all. Oprah, who I've had arguments with people before. I don't like Oprah. I don't think she's a good role model. I'm not even sure she's that good of a person. I mean, I really don't like Oprah. I mean, I don't think she's a bad person, but she's not this altruistic, wonderful person. She's a multi-billionaire. Yeah, she gives stuff away for free because she doesn't even notice it. She doesn't even notice it. Oprah admitted in Watch What Happens Live that she smoked marijuana in 1982. How does she even remember what year it was? Oh, in 1982, I smoked some pot. Even though she did not admit to smoking weed recently, she joked about trying it again as she heard that it's gotten better. Again, I mean, this is why I hate the whole like stoner term, because I feel like everything is making fun of cannabis users, and we don't do that for people who drink alcohol. We don't make fun of them. You know, it makes no sense to me. And then Lady Gaga openly admitted in 60 Minutes that she has never tried to hide her fondness, excuse me, for marijuana. She smokes a lot of pot whenever she writes music, she said. And she's been really honest about that gets the creative juices flowing for her. And then the President of the United States, President Barack Obama. U.S. President Barack Obama admitted to smoking marijuana in one of his interviews. He said that he inhaled frequently. Thank you for speaking the truth for us. Thank you. But God, really, I don't like how silly and giggly I feel. I mean, what's wrong with silly and giggly? Like, I thought that was great. I thought anxious and uptight was not a good way to feel, and silly and giggly is a great way to feel. I mean, certainly there are circumstances in which you feel a little bit out of control, like you're just too tired, you're just kind of too high. I mean, those things happen, but you don't describe that as being, I was too silly and giggly. I mean, that's a fantastic thing. That's a fantastic thing. Anyway, this gets to my whole theme tonight. I'm clearly on this soapbox about people being authentic and honest. I mean, maybe it's the Jenny Kush influence, but be authentic. If you smoked and maybe you smoked years ago and you're probably never going to do it again, or maybe you smoke once a year, don't be embarrassed about it. Don't be embarrassed about it. I don't really care if you shoot heroin once a year, but I mean, I think it's a bad idea. It's a much more dangerous drug. It is a dangerous drug, and this one's not. But be honest about it. If you're going to choose to behave that way, don't behave in a way that you can't be honest about, right? If you can't tell your mom, then maybe you shouldn't do it. Your mom's not really going to care that you're smoking pot. She's really not. If your mom's been listening to the news at all in the last 5 years, she's not going to care if you're smoking pot. However, I, as a fan of any of these celebrities, I feel like you're not authentic, you're a liar, and you're just trying to say whatever you think you need to say to keep your fan base. And if you're a politician, you're absolutely saying whatever you need to say to get votes. And you don't have my vote. If you say I didn't inhale or anything negative about your experience smoking, I'm going to call bullshit on you. Period. I'm going to call bullshit because you didn't have a bad experience. You're just scared of mentioning it now because you want to get ahead of it in case someone decides to make a smear campaign against you for smoking. Who cares? Nobody cares anymore. Now, if you're going to tweet, have sexual tweeting conversations with 15-year-olds, whole different story. Don't do that stuff, and your mom's going to be mad at you for doing that. Smoke a little pot, you're fine. All right, we're going to take one more quick break. I'll be back.
Whether you are a commercial grower or cultivate as a hobby, No Dough Urban Garden Supply is Denver's first stop for your hydroponic grow needs. With a wide range of products including House and Garden, Botanicare, and Fox Farm, their knowledgeable staff can get you started on your first garden or help you with your well-established business. No Dough Urban Garden Supply is located in downtown Denver at 1330 27th Street, 4 blocks north of Coors Field near MMD of Colorado. They are open 6 days a week from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. Call 303-296-3424 or visit them on the web at www.nodoughurbangardensupply.com.
High up in the Rockies is beautiful Frisco, Colorado. Medical Marijuana of the Rockies is a medical marijuana center with compassion for Colorado's medical patients. Looking for great meds grown organically in soil? You've come to the right place. Medical Marijuana of the Rockies is just off I-70 at exit 203. Check them out at the web at www.mmrockies.com. Their ever-changing strain and clone selection is updated on the website daily. When making a trip to the mountains, no matter the season, stop by Medical Marijuana of the Rockies. Make sure you say you heard about them on iCannabis Radio. You can call 970-668-MEDS to get more information. Medical Marijuana of the Rockies, your mountain source for meds.
I'm Gary Johnson, and you're listening to iCannabis Radio, and I want to say, talk it up, Colorado.
Howdy, welcome back. Yeah, Sam has been in the chat room, which I don't know, Sam, either you're here or you're at the Capitol. I don't know why you're in the chat room, but I appreciate it. He's mentioned that he feels like a responsible adult for telling his mom he smokes, and I think that is what responsible people do, and I appreciate that. I mean, it makes sense. So I guess gone are the days where I feel like, now granted, I'm a little bit older, but gone are the days where I feel like I need to hide things from my family. They are either okay with what I do or they're not, and they get to make the choice as to how they react, but it doesn't have to affect my doing it. I'm still going to live my life in a way that's not hurting anybody, and I'm going to make good decisions for myself and my family and all those kinds of things, and I'm going to be honest with them about it. And Barack Obama, thank you for saying that you inhaled frequently. I appreciate that. A couple other little things that I wanted to talk about this evening. I guess maybe not so little, but a group of 67 prominent Mexican artists, politicians, intellectuals, and attorneys on Wednesday called for a full decriminalization of marijuana consumption. The petition, published in several dailies, was signed by several actors and attorneys. The signatures noted that 60% of inmates in Mexico's federal penitentiaries have been sentenced for drug offenses, and that of those prisoners, 59% were behind bars for marijuana-related crimes. They also said that marijuana is far less addictive than tobacco. Criminalization increases the street price of drugs, while Mexico's drug cartels get much of the revenue from marijuana sales, the petition added. The exorbitant income is used to purchase weapons, pay hitmen, and bribe public officials. Decriminalization would reduce that income, which is not replaceable by other organized crime activities, kidnapping, extortion, and robbery, they said. Mexico has paid a high price for applying the punitive policy of prohibition. That's really hard to say. I like that statement, but punitive policy of prohibition, I can't even read it. And added that although neither decriminalization nor any other individual measure is a panacea that will do away with violence, corruption, and insecurity, it would be a huge step in the right direction. Mexico's previous president, Felipe Calderón, gave the armed forces the leading role in the struggle with the cartels. The militarization strategy was accompanied by an explosion of violence, and the drug war claimed about 70,000 lives during his 2006 to 2012 term. Isn't that just heart-wrenching? Absolutely heart-wrenching. These statistics about the drug offenders who are in prison is in Mexico is really hard to read. It's really hard to comprehend. One of the things that I'd say we've moved in the right direction in the United States is that for the most part, there aren't a ton imprisoned nonviolent drug offenders specific to marijuana. There are lots of nonviolent drug offenders who have possession charges for other drugs, but any is too many. I mean, any is absolutely too many. We need to reduce that to zero. Filling our prisons with nonviolent offenders is a huge waste of resources and waste of time and, quite frankly, waste of people's lives. The idea of looking at some sort of rehabilitation, should that be necessary, makes tons more sense. And then, so that's the country to the south of us. And do you know what's happening in the country to the north of us right now? Well. Canada to license companies to grow and sell marijuana. Woo, woo. Yep.
Nice.
Yep. The business of marijuana will be launched this week by the Conservative Government of Canada. Health Canada is going to license prominent marijuana farms. Don't you love that word? A marijuana farm. That's fantastic, a marijuana farm. This will allow a free marijuana market to be available, which will serve about 37,000 people. The number promises to grow up to 450,000 in the next 10 years. I bet it's going to be more. Around 150 companies already applied for a license. Of these, 2 companies already received the license from the government. The government also determined the price of medical marijuana, which will only be served to patients who are legally approved to receive the same. A gram is going to cost $7.60. Yep, you heard it right here. 2014, a gram will be $7.60. That's fantastic. However, there's a possibility that the price may go down. I'm going to say that again. The price may go down to $3 once the market gets more competitive. According to government predictions, the newly born industry is going to fetch $1.3 billion as revenue every single year. Yep, at $3 grams, there will still be $1.3 billion. I think that'll do. Now that weed has been legalized in Canada, would companies make use of celebrities to endorse these products? Several prominent personalities admitted that they smoked marijuana. We just talked about that. And others openly admit that they regularly take it. So possibly the people that I just mentioned, they're joking around that they could possibly be doing paid advertisements for the legal marijuana in Canada. I think that's fantastic. Now, isn't Justin Bieber, isn't he Canadian? Yeah, I think he is too. I'm like pretty positive he is. I think he would probably be really excited if he were to do a marijuana ad. Although how old is Justin Bieber? Yeah, he looks really, really young. So maybe he wouldn't be the best spokesperson because I don't know that he would really hit that target audience. He'd hit a big target audience, but maybe not the numbers that they're looking for, you know? Anyway, it's so interesting to me that Mexico is trying to decriminalize to be able to adjust the cartels and take away their ammunition of this product that they're selling because the government has made it illegal. And there are so many people imprisoned in Mexico for marijuana offenses. And then at the exact same time, the opposite is happening in Canada. I mean, it's just fabulous. I mean, it's just fabulous, the progress, and hopefully that will happen in Mexico as well, that there will be a strong government that will say the way to put a stop to this is to stop making it illegal. It's to stop making it illegal. I mean, it's not like, don't the cartels still run the cocaine deals as well? I mean, maybe silly me, but I don't think that they're going to be that upset. I mean, what do I know? I don't know anything about organized crime, but if they got cocaine, they're probably good. Maybe they'll settle for just the cocaine trade. Maybe they'll settle for just the cocaine trade. Well, we got an exciting week on iCannabis Radio as always. As I said earlier, tomorrow night is Sexpot Radio finale part 2 from 6 to whenever. Please feel free to call in, come by. Jeremy is going to be hosting. Chris would be here, and you're going to be okay tomorrow? Yeah. He loved it. He loved every second of it. Wasn't that your favorite show? Absolutely. Absolutely. So then Thursday day, of course, from 4 to 5 p.m., Hemp Connoisseur does their weekly show. And, they are getting set up in about a month. They'll have the winners of their championship cup. I think it's November 3rd? Second or third. So we'll give you more information on that. But the judges just picked up all of their samples, and they are getting ready to judge lots and lots of different places and lots of different products. And so that's exciting. And then this Friday from 6:30 to 7:30, we have a brand new show, right? Reefer Madness with Citizen J and Mark. Please, please, please welcome them wonderfully to iCannabis Radio. Listen in, find out what they've got going on. We are so, so happy to have them starting this Friday, and they'll be doing a weekly show every Friday from 6:30 to 7:30. Of course, a Monday day, from 3 to 4 p.m. in the lab. Jennifer Murray and Tamar are always here to give you the best science known to men about cannabis. And then, of course, I'm back on at 7 p.m. on Mondays. So please check us out. Also want to thank all my sponsors: Mile High Wellness, Nodo Urban Garden Supply, Edson Maton and Matts, Medical Marijuana of the Rockies, Kuffel Collimore and Company, Medical Marijuana 101, and of course, Run on Grass. My name is Georgia. Thank you so much for joining me this week, and I will see you next week. Good night.